Alright. Fix my glasses real quick. They're probably gonna crucify me for this one, but if I step foot into a church, I'd probably burn alive. Hello and welcome. My name's Chavo Sucio and this is the Thorns and Thistles podcast. Before we get started, I got some explaining to do. I want to start off by answering some questions that you might already have, and I wouldn't be doing the podcast justice if I didn't get into this first. So first of all, I want to answer, who is this podcast for? Well, let me start by saying who it's not for. This podcast is not for people who think they know it all. It's not for people who are not teachable. It's not for hypocrites. For people who don't see their own sin but are quick to point out yours. And it's also not for overly saved Bible thumpers. And what I mean by that is just people who are just so down your throat with the Bible that you're afraid to even listen to them because you don't know if they're telling you the truth or what. They sound like they have a biased opinion from the onset. So this podcast is for, and they're probably going to crucify me for this one, but it's for people who don't do church. It's for people who love God, but maybe you have a hard time loving people. It's for people whose lifestyle maybe doesn't necessarily fit into the church setting. Maybe you go to church but don't really feel that sense of community, or people who probably say, if I step foot into a church, I'd probably burn alive. Well, this podcast is probably for you, and you won't burn alive, and you can do it from the comfort of your home and just listen in. Alright, so if you're still tuned in and listening, I want to invite you on a journey to explore the teachings of Jesus in a way that's easy to understand and practical. My goal is to encourage those who are maybe lost and looking to find their faith again, or maybe you've been around the block a few times and you're just looking for that connection again to God. My goal is to encourage those who are seeking answers and to upset those who think they know them all. If you're watching this podcast, I'm probably going to challenge your theology at some point in this podcast. So whether you're new to faith, or you're just curious and trying to find out what Jesus was about, or you could be someone who's kind of like me, grew up in the church but struggled to find a sense of community in the church. This is going to be a community where there's no judgment, where you can express your opinions, you can ask questions, and there are no dumb questions. You don't have to feel foolish or like you're alone. We're all in this together. We're learning, we're growing, and we're going through life. So if you want to join this community, just stay tuned. I want to get into a little bit about myself and let you guys know who I am. And first and foremost, I'm going to say that I don't got the answers, Sway. And if you're looking for me to have all the answers to solve all your problems, you can click away now, because it's not going to happen. All right. I'm not some biblical scholar or preacher or pastor who has decades of ministry experience under his belt. I can't even speak in tongues. Well, I won't say I can't, because you never know. Maybe one day I will. But, if I didn't meet your expectations, then you can get in line. I have flaws, and I'm a sinner. I have struggles just like you do, and I'm a human being. I was a youth pastor, sure, at one point, and even an associate pastor of a church. But more importantly than that, I'm a person who loves people, and I love God. And I just want to explore my faith more and invite you along in the journey as we dive deeper into scripture and have some answers and some questions that might not even get answered. But I invite you to come on that journey with me. And I'll do my best to be as honest, transparent, and upfront as possible in explaining scripture, and not sugarcoating stuff or manipulate scripture to make it seem like it says something that it doesn't. And I know a lot of times it may feel like that when we go to church and we don't necessarily understand what the preacher's saying, but I want to break down scripture in a way that anyone can understand it. So if you're down with that, click on that button down there and subscribe. Like this video and share the content, because there's going to be more coming soon.